Hey everyone, Luke here. Now I know this review is a little bit late coming this week. That's because I was a bit sick the past few days, but I'm all better now. So back and ready to rumble with this week's Doctor Stone. And we all know that I've probably been more excited than others for this week's chapter because of a certain character. I can't imagine who. Oh, and in case you're wondering, no, this is just a water bowl with Suika on it, which pretty appropriate considering she's got a watermelon on her head. But yeah, you can get this from Redbubble. I'm not doing any product placement here, just saying that's where I got it from. Quite nice water bowl actually. I will say that. But anyway, so yeah, this chapter, complete Suika chapter, which fucking hell, I'm excited. I'm excited for. Okay, okay. Let's just get into the chapter. And I am not prepared. I am not prepared in any way whatsoever for this. Let's get to it. Let's see. Chapter. Okay, so this is Doctor Stone chapter 192, titled "Until We Meet Again." But yeah. Until we meet again, I'll be working as well. I'll be working as well because I'm back at work this week, and also I'll be doing some writing and everything. Oh, okay. So yeah, let's just enough with the fumbling and rambling. Let's just get into it. So the chat starts off with a colour page showing various members of Corn City after just being completely petrified by the Medusa, which of course, like I said in the last review, completely decimates my theory of the fact that the Medusa can't activate if it's like being blocked by some sort of metal. So yeah, this proves that it can be petrified, that it can activate wherever and whenever it wants. As we see, Dr. Brody, Yuzuria and John, as well as one of Dr. Brody's minions, being completely petrified before we see a cover picture of a colour image of Stanley and Senku just staring down at each other. As we see flames behind them, just like spewing out. I think it's just showing like the fiery passion of this battle that's starting to get even more intense than it already is. Okay, so we open up the chapter with the Medusa just completely spreading out across the world as we see Chrome going, the entire planet? No way! Launching the petrification from North America, and we see Senku going, yep, we're ending all of humanity all over again in order to win and save everyone. Yeah, Senku, you kind of no pun intended, shot yourself in the foot here where you say save everyone, cause from the way Yoga looks, I don't think you're going to be saving everyone. But that's besides the point. Gen goes on to say how many minutes until the petrification beam reaches. That is to say, if the North American team succeeds. And Senku says, "Oh, stop doubting. They're going to pull it off because it's our best and only bet." Which, yeah, at this point in time, you kind of. It kind of is their only best and only option at this point because of the fact that Stanley is just so ruthless in his pursuit of them to get Xenu back that it's kind of like, yeah, we have to petrify him. Even though I didn't want this to happen, I kind of like wanted to go a different way of how to defeat Stanley, because it's kind of like rehashing a little bit of what happened on Treasure Island with Ibarra, but I kind of understand the situation now because Stanley is just so ruthless at this point. Speaking of Treasure Island, Katsuki mentions that so Senku is going to do that countdown again, like what happened on Treasure Island when he was like, okay, it's coming in right now. I've got to do all this radius right now to figure out when I'm going to be petrified and if this actually is going to work. And Senku says the biggest issue at this point is just because this is a much more massive scale compared to the one on the island, that it's going to be even more calculations down to precisely. It's going to have to be really nastily lucky at this point, which, as Chrome says here, like, Senki, you're not the best when it comes to having luck, but you know who is? Suika. Suika is just one of the luckiest people in this series, like, to escape all the things that she has done, and to even actually find the Medusa, even though they were probably going to spot the entire pyramid, but the fact that she was the one that actually discovered the Medusa in the water, and Chrome actually brought out like, wow, you're quite lucky, Suika. So yeah, she is quite the opposite with Suika when it comes to having luck, but Chrome actually brings up as well the drip. Well, he doesn't exactly bring up the drip idea, but he does bring up the idea of making making the scientific device that they could splash refined fluid on them. So even though he's not necessarily saying the drip, it's kind of something that's actually going to come into play at the end of the chapter. Not in the way that Chrome initially idealized, but it's something like that is actually going to come into play. But before Senku can even say anything, he is absolutely pelted by Stanley's forces. When I say pelted, he's more like shot in the shoulder, as we see with Rival Fluid just breaking apart the ones that they actually had, and him looking absolutely shocked by this. Like, where did that actually come from? And as Stanley's forces look on and they see like, oh, the light, that's the light from the petrification, that's the light that we saw 3,700 years ago. See this, like, you truly did it, Senku, as we see the Medusa just spreading out all over the world. So that pretty much ruins my theory of the fact that okay, I'm gonna put the phone down for a second. That pretty much ruins my theory of the fact that the Medusa has a limited range. So this pretty much proves that it does not have a limited range, which I did not want that to. I really did not want that to happen, because now that, like, I know the guys at Control Chaos, because I did watch their review, they wanted this to happen to sort of like have a reset of the series, which I can understand why they would want that, but at the same time, I kind of feel like that's kind of like a bit of a kick in the teeth for everything that everyone that's read the series up to this point, and even the characters in the series, the things that they've gone through, and now they're gonna have to reset everything. That's kind of like a bit of a kick in the teeth, in my humble estimated opinion. And yeah, and also as well, I want to bring up something as well. I agree. Like they said, if nobody dies in this arc, then I'll be a tad little disappointed. I won't rant as much as I did with Ray and Promised Neverland, because the thing that with Ray and Promised Neverland is that it did honestly look like Ray was blowing himself off, and to end on a cliffhanger where like that, and then all of a sudden he's alive again. That was just a shock moment. Nothing else. And obviously, if Dr. Stone does it, I'll always be disappointed, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot more stake to it, because of the fact that yes, there are good, and they're being ruthless and resilient here. But at the same time, I'll understand why people will be as disappointed as it happened in Promised Neverland. Okay, just going back to what I was saying just then about the Medusa covering the whole world. Actually, to be fair, if we actually look at the paneling right here, you can actually see it. It's sort of like I don't know. It looks to me, it looks like it's just covering one area, one side of the world. So, yeah. Actually, yeah. Okay. Time out, guys. Time out. If you actually look here, if you actually look at the panel here, you can see like the end. You can actually see like the end of the petrification beam, like right here on the edge of the panel, almost as if it's like in a semicircle. So yeah, from what I can that's quite interesting, the fact that it's more condensed. Like, if you actually really stop and look at this, it's like more condensed, this panel and this petrification beam. Although I could just be reading way too much into this. I feel, and we're gonna get into Ishigami Village and Treasure Island in a minute, but I feel like, yeah, it's more condensed. It's more of a condensed one rather than a full scale. Because if it was a full scale, it wouldn't. I don't think it would have like that little corner on the end. Or maybe I'm just looking way too much into this. After we see the petrification beam actually arrive on the horizon, we see we see Leon escorting Francois, Suika, Matsukaze, and Ginru, or not escorting them, more like guarding them, as Matsukaze says, "That's the wicked light," and Ginru's like, "This is it. This is the end. This is the end of the world." And Suika is actually being the voice of the audience here, saying, "Here, Cornsey, Rui, and everyone, Soyuz and his people, everyone we know is going to get turned to stone." So I'm glad that they actually brought that up, where the fact that they mentioned Soyuz and Rui, which makes me think that we're probably going to get the next chapter, like a bit in the next chapter, focusing on them on their side to figure out, like, are they really going to get petrified? Because from what I'm seeing on that panel, it looks like it's just going around one half of the world and not the whole half. But hey, maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see. So Francois goes, I'm misfiring up in North America. No, it can't be an accident. The plan is to revive ourselves in the end. That's our only solution to predicament. So I'm glad that she's figuring out, like, okay, this is the plan, and we've got to stick to it. But before anything counts, that they can actually process anything, we see Ukio freeing everyone from Leon's grasp, and he's like, Suika and Francois were dispatched as our destiny revivers, but this time it's like, yeah, things have gone to crap, so we have to kind of like improvise here, as Francois instructs Suika to take the fried food which were in the confiscated sachets that she had, but before anything else can happen, we see Sinu writhing and going, "How predictable! The revival fueled you, preferable Noah's Arks could only have been here." As he instructs all of Stanley's forces and Stanley himself to shoot everyone, including Suika. Sinu, you are a dick. No question about it. You are a dick. I love you as a villain, but you are a dick. You do not mess with the melon child. Nobody messes with the melon child. Well, the watermelon child. God, I can only imagine what Red was thinking. Like, "Hey, Luke, how did you feel about your favorite character almost dying for a third time in this arc?" I'm like, really? So after everyone is completely decimated, we see Sinu and Stanley reunite for the first time in 100 days, which obviously means that at least 4 months has passed since the end of Quad City to now. So let me think. They were in. Let me go back to chapter 181. I think it was 181. So let's see. Oh, no, it was 180. Sorry about this, guys. Let's see. Okay, so in chapter 181, when they finally reached the pyramid, it was January 5742. So this chapter, it looks like it's around April 5742 that chapter 182 is taking place. Which, hey, what a coincidence! We're in April right now, so yeah, this is probably taking place in April around that time. It's saying the rescue took nearly 100 days, or it could be March as well. It could be like towards the end of December that this actually happened. Either way, it doesn't matter. 4 months. 4 months since they've seen each other, and now we get into what I can say is pretty much confirming that Sinu and Stanley are in a relationship. As Sinu goes, "Or will I imagine to come sooner? Or were you dragging your feet because your damsel in distress is no princess?" Okay, now Control Chaos said that Stanley was bi, and yeah, probably from that wording, yeah, that's pretty much confirming that Stanley is bi. Before Senior goes on to say, "But rather the scientist you find yourself teething to." shut up, man. Now is not the time for warm and fuzzy gratitude, not with the petrification beam coming. And look at that face! Look at that face from those two. Look, they're like, oh, I can't wait to have you again, Sinu. Oh, shucks, Stanley. But anyway, anyway, that is actually quite cool now that they're actually confirming that, because again, not many gay villains in a shonen manga, and the fact that they're pretty much gay for each other, I find that extremely cool, and it's like more power to them, that sticking to their convictions and sticking by each other no matter what. Anyway, continuing on, as the petrification beam approaches them, they conclude that they've got about 56 minutes from the moment it appears or on the horizon before they're actually petrified. As they try to go and retrieve some of the revive bottles to get prepared for themselves to do the trick that Senku did on Treasure Island, Maya notices that there's no revival bottles there, and Suika's mask is completely empty, but we see blood coming from it, which proves that yes, she was shot as well. She was hit somewhere. But from the looks on the next panel, it doesn't look like she was hit in any significantly damaging way. So she was probably hit in, I want to say the side. I want to say the side hip. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the fact that she got hit herself, and wasting no time, Stanley and his forces Stanley Senior and their forces continue to shoot down Suika as she approaches Fort Medusa, breaking all but one of the firebolts, which they play hot potato with. So it's like, press it to Chrome, press it again, put it where the Medusa was in Fort Medusa. So okay, so the initial plan here is for Sound to break the for let's be honest, Suika to go underneath where that platform is in the tower in Fort Medusa, stand under there, have the plate break so that as she's getting petrified, she is completely revived at that point. Now, I'm going to get into more points at the end of this chapter of what I think will happen going forward in the next chapter. I've seen the questions why they would bring the revival through to the Medusa Tower receiver. He comes to the realization that that's what's going to happen. That the plate is going to crack and land on someone. And Senku's like, catch on yet, Sinu. After humanity's petrified again, it could be days, months even. Might be a wild animal's cry or lightning. Some natural sound is bound to make our scientific revival rain down on us. Now, notice that he says us, so that probably means that that could very well actually mean that it not only falls down on Suika, but because Senku is so close to the, from what I can tell. Let's see. Oh no, Senku's not close to Fort. Now, I was going to say that from what I can tell, the fact that Senku says rains down on us, that might actually mean that somebody else is going to get revived besides Suika as well, which would actually be immensely beneficial at this point in time. If I don't know, Chrome or Gen or Kazuki gets revived alongside Suika, because he's saying rain down on us, and it like breaks away, but it also breaks the ball, and it just smashes and spills out, just not only on Suika but out from the fort itself. Or maybe I'm just looking way too much into that. But anyway, continuing on, Senku mentions that his body can't move, and Stanley is forcing them to grab the revival bottle. But before he can do it, Kazuki, Gen, and Chrome. Oh wait, does Kazuki? No, I thought there was something else there. Never mind. Kazuki, Gen, and Chrome actually try to stop him, but of course, at the end of this chapter, where Stanley is, it looks like, yeah, that is not going to work. Senku notices Suika, and he's like, "You're the only one who can get to the base of this tower. You want to be helpful, right?" And Suika, bless her little heart, is just like, I have to make up for what happened before with Kohaku, Hyoga, and Tsukasa. As she takes herself up to the fort, stands underneath the platform where the petrification petrification fluid is, and raises her hand as she's crying her eyes out, as we see the petrification beam actually start to approach behind her, and we see Stanley in front of the fort. Now notice that Chrome, Kazuki, and Gen aren't there, so it proves that he shot them. He shot them dead. And we see Senku and Sinu saying goodbye for now. Could be days, could be years until humanity's revived again, but we'll meet again. Still, until that day, see you. As the chapter ends with Senku being petrified, and wow, what a chapter! So yeah, Suika is going to save the day. The one character that everyone thought, oh, it's just there to be cute, is the one that's going to be saving the day. The MVP of Dr. Stone. I've been telling people this throughout the entire series. She is the true MVP of Dr. Stone. Okay, in all seriousness, it would be immense of use if Suika could unpetrify someone, else. If she could save some revival fluid and possibly revive Senku. Now they joked. Now Control Chaos joked that because she's gonna not have her mask on anymore, and therefore she's gonna be black, and therefore she's not gonna be able to see very well. Because remember, the petrification beam cannot cure blindness. That I believe the petrification beam can cure anything that happens throughout your life. So like if you have a broken leg, petrification beam revive your leg, but it can't cure things that you're born with. So Suika, Kiru, and Chelsea might have been just born with poor eyesight, and that's something that's genetically modified into, like, it can't undo your DNA, undo your DNA in a sense. So it might be the case of the fact that the Medusa can't cure things that you're actually born with. It's just something that's good. That it just has to be something that happened after you were born. That's my takeaway from all of this. Now, at the end of that chapter, we noticed that Senku was getting petrified, but we didn't see Sinu getting petrified. That's the key thing we have to take away from here, because if you look, I'll go back to the panel. If you look right here, you see Senku being petrified, but not Sinu. Now, he could very well be being petrified on the other side of the face that we're not seeing, but at the same time, I reckon there has to be a point. There has to be a point to that. Now, obviously, Suika's going to be one to be unpetrified in the next chapter, and I'd be perfectly happy if it was just a chapter of her just going around and just lamenting on everything, and then she finds out that, oh, Chelsea and Luna, how are you two unpetrified? And they reveal, like, oh, we had some spare refined fluid, so we just chunked it up and down on us. So that could very well be the case. Now, whether that's gonna happen immediately in the next chapter, if actually the sound of the petrification beam is actually going to break it. It's actually going to break the plates that the refined fluid is on. That remains to be seen. But like I said, I really want Chelsea and Luna to be central to this whole end game of this arc, because they've sort of disappeared and we haven't seen them since they were moved away from the battle, and they were like the backup for because of the fact that Suika and Francois got captured by Stanley's forces, and they had various bags with them. So what is in those bags? Could it be more refined fluid? Could it be the ingredients to make more refined fluid? We'll just have to wait and see. But it's strange how we didn't focus on them, even though they are pretty much two of the last people standing at this point. But that's something we'll just have to wait and see. And also, I want to see what's going to be happening in Ishigami Village and Treasure Island. And this is the thing as well. If everything gets petrified again around the world, then that means various forces, various other tribes, if they revived before Senku, they're going to be frozen in stone again, which means they'll have to start things up all over again, unless like Red said, this doesn't go on for this one doesn't go on for like millennia. It only goes on for a couple of months or even a few years. If it went on for a few years, like 5 years tops, I'll give them that. But at the same time, we kind of don't want to lose a lot of the stuff, and especially we don't want to lose the Perseus, because that took a whole year to make. That ship took a whole year to make in Ishigami Fish, and now they're in North America. It'll probably take even not even North America, South America. It'll probably take even longer at this point as well. So that's something we'll have to keep in mind as well. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lash Luke signing off. Later, guys.